All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of R&R Talking Football. We've been gone a little while, but thank you guys for joining us again. We are 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. We're getting closer and closer, and today we're going to give you guys a 5-round mock draft for the Jets because we don't have a 6th or 7th as of this moment. But who knows? Knowing Trader Joe, we'll end up with probably one of those picks. But today we'll just give you, what we're thinking and where we could go.
Absolutely. I mean, we're 3 weeks away from a big opportunity for the Jets with 9 total picks all in the first 5 rounds, 4 total selections in the top 38 picks. Just a rare opportunity to, make this thing turn around fast. And I know we're excited. We're anxious. There's a lot of news and buzz out there. So many rumors, almost too many. And what we're shortly going to find out here. I mean, we're 3 weeks away, and I know we're all just ready for this draft to finally get here and get some answers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of sick of all the receiver rumors, regarding us, the Jets. I mean, obviously, I think we all want it to happen, but at a certain point, I think we need to almost accept it. Most likely, it's not going to happen. Just kind of turn our attention to the draft, and I think there is something cool about keeping all these picks, to an extent where,
Right.
we're not. I think we're getting closer to a playoff team. I don't think we're quite there yet, and this draft class is going to determine a lot of how successful we can be entering this year because 4 picks, like you said, in the top 38, you need to hit on at least 3 of these picks to really turn it around. But I think we can. I think we both have trust, and I think a lot of Jet fans have trust in Joe Douglas after last year's class.
Absolutely. I think you just got to select the Jets, right?
No, yeah, I did.
Gotcha. All righty. So Kayvon off the board.
Oh, I didn't. Did I not select the Jets? Hold on 1 second.
All good.
Let me restart that. Obviously.
Yeah, you can restart at the bottom there.
No, it would just. I have to refresh it because it would restart. Without us picking. I mean, if that scenario happened, I think Jet fans just lose their mind because it had a so. Let's watch the video.
Better off. Hopefully this one runs better.
I hope you guys have audio on because we've seen Kyle Hamilton selected. Comment, don't be too pretty. All right.
All right. I think this one's a no-brainer now.
So we have some trade options first. I'll run them.
I'm not taking any of them. What about you?
If some team offers 3 first-round picks, I don't know, maybe.
That's true. No.
No, I'm not looking to go down that far.
No.
Ooh.
To me, it's not worth it. You lose out on your guy right there.
Depending on if I don't know. This one's tempting. We'll say no. I don't think the Jets are going to trade down realistically, but if the Panthers offered this, man, it's only 2 spots. I'd be tempted by this one. The rest of them, the Steelers, forget it. That one's no good. The Texans, this is nice, but I think 10 would be the one.
It's still a drop off.
More like, yeah, this one's a little bit too far for me. Because especially with this draft class, you want to take one of the top talents. So obviously the pick here is Evan Neal, right?
Well, the top 3 are really there between Kayvon Thibodeaux, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, and Ike Ekwonu. To me, you clearly go with Kayvon. You get the pass rusher. To me, as much as I love Ekwonu, the Jets have their 5 starters on the offensive line right now. They've got youth in both Becton and Vera Tucker. You've wrapped up a ton financially into Laken Tomlinson, and George Fant was your best player last year. So to me, as much as I love Ekwonu, the value for right now doesn't necessarily make sense. And with Sauce Gardner, I mean, we would love that. I just think here you prioritize the D-line. You sign DJ Reed in free agency. You have a couple of other young corners, and I still think you can draft a corner at some point, in the mid rounds. And to me, you get a potential difference-making defensive lineman for this scheme where it's needed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the draft could have started any better for us. I don't think this is probably most likely not going to happen drafting that, especially in my opinion, it's more unlikely Hamilton goes at 3 now than Willis at 2. I mean, that's still a possibility for the Lions. So this would be a dream scenario, hoping one of these guys falls to 10 so we can double down. But, in this scenario, I'm going Kayvon Thibodeaux. But, that would be a tough decision, I think, for the Jets, picking between Kayvon, Ekwonu, and Sauce. That's not an easy decision. So, but I guess for the most realistic one, I think it's going to be between Kayvon and Sauce. I think a lot of Jet fans do, depending on how the board falls with the first 3. All right, so we have 3 trade offers again to move down from 10. First one is the Chargers. Second round pick next year is a little bit tempting.
Oh, definitely.
Come back to it.
No,
This one's a lot for 43. And we got the second next year, but then you're dropping out of the first round.
exactly. No,
Bucks similar, but
too far to 7.
yeah. Hold on. I think we're gonna reject, right?
Yeah. I think you got to take one of the receivers between Jameson Williams, Drake London, and Garrett Wilson. I think you need one of those guys. To me, it's really close. Obviously, we've talked about it. Like it's a 1A, 1B for me between Jameson Williams and Drake London. Both offer a unique skill set that's needed. With Williams, obviously, it's his ability as a deep threat with the speed, how well he would mesh with Zach Wilson's arm strength driving the ball down the field. And with Drake London, you talk about someone who's got a ton of size, great contested catch ability, and provide some good strength and power with the ball in his hands after the catch to break tackles, which is important in this scheme. You look at Deebo Samuel, for example. London kind of brings a little bit of that. So to me, it's really a tough one. Where are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's not easy because I'm trying to think what the Jets are doing. And obviously, we're picking, I think, a little bit of both, kind of what we want.
Right.
But I think we're realistically what we think is going to happen for our team. In this scenario, all 40 receivers on the board, so we have like the pick of the litter, and they're all very different, which is like the crazy part about this.
Right.
I think everyone thought it was between Garrett Wilson and Drake London the entire time, but I think the Jameson Williams train has picked up the last week or so. I don't want to read.
He might have the biggest ceiling out of all of them. You know, if he really can put it together and just get healthy. I mean, he's young and speed is the name of the game. I mean, with Zach Wilson's arm strength, it definitely can fit. And it's a skill set. Both of those skill sets are really needed when you look at, you know, the possession receiver London is and the speed element that Williams brings. Like those are really the only two like missing skill sets at the receiver group now. You know, you have someone in Elijah Moore who's a great route runner, reliable hands, you know, can play in the slot. Corey Davis is great on the intermediate level, brings some size, but to add a true contested catch or vertical threat receiver, I think would really potentially put this offense over the top.
Yeah, I think that skill set is what the Jets are looking for based on what they've been trying to trade for with Tyreek Hill. And, you know, we seen the Jameson Williams video last week, which after tweeted out, it seems like he's on a, you know, ahead of schedule his ACL, which is great news. And it's probably what the Jets are waiting for this entire time to find out that information clearly. And you know what? Usually, honestly, how these draft works in the past, not just the Jets, but the NFL in general, majority of times that the NFL loves speed. They take the guy who's going to run the fastest 40. Jameson would have, I think, clearly done that. He had a guy maybe in the low 4.2s, early 4.3s. I'm going to go Jameson Williams.
All day. I love it. That might be like the best possible haul. Kayvon with either Jameson or Drake London. So I'd be pumped.
Yeah, I think there's a clear gap between the rest of the receivers. I would throw Garrett Wilson in there.
I would too.
But I think I'm with you where I'm going back and forth between who I have as wide receiver one. You know, like
right.
One day it's Drake London, one day it's Jameson Williams.
I'm the same way.
I think Garrett Wilson's clearly my number 3, but I wouldn't be upset if we took him because the upside with him is also, you know, relatively high, and I think he'd be a great fit here.
I wouldn't take that.
I don't want to trade with a division rival anyway. They had to blow me away. So let's before we make our pick, let's see how the, you know,
Linderbaum and Scene both went off the board.
Yep, and our corners that we were kind of looking at,
Andy Green, Trent McDuffie,
Kobe Dean, we're looking at too. So this one went a little bit unfortunate for us. Hoping to get a little bit more lucky during the real NFL draft. I think we will in terms of a couple of
good options on the board.
But yeah, for that's a good. That's why having these picks, they're like, you know, late first round picks. They're really crucial. In this scenario, before we make our picks, I think me and you are big fans of this guy. I think it's a no-brainer. But I want to bring up the point because we did draft Jameson Williams. I think the draft strategy has to change a little bit when you take him because, you know, even though he's on pace for training camp, we don't exactly know if he's going to miss any time to start the year. Does your draft strategy, maybe not a 35 or 38, but unless, you know, a great wide receiver fell, but does your strategy change in terms of doubling down or prioritizing another receiver in this draft?
To be honest with you, I was planning on drafting 2 receivers either way, even if we went with London or Wilson. So obviously you want Jameson Williams to be ready for week 1 with Zach Wilson in this crucial second season. But to me, you can't force a need here at receiver and get a pick wrong. Especially when you have some of those players, Daxton Hill, Perry Winfrey, Brees Hall, Devontae Wyatt, and there's a couple of others at some other positions that I like to force a receiver. I'm just not necessarily there right now.
I think I'm with you overall. The one player I think that I would make the exception for, I'm not going to do it here because the board didn't fall this way. They still, like you got mentioned, those couple players I think that we're higher on. Sky Moore is the only guy that I think I would take in this range at 35 or 38, and I'd be ecstatic. Pickens would be in that range too. It would be tough to take two guys coming off injuries. Like if we went Garrett Wilson in the first round and they took Pickens, I'm good. But like the fact that we took Jameson in this scenario, I wouldn't take Pickens. I actually think Pickens ends up in the first round in the real draft.
And like I was saying with London bringing that jump ball skill set, like Pickens does kind of have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think there's too much talent. I think even Travis Jones is probably still on the board if you look at the tackles. Who we both love Travis Jones. The Jets need a true run stopping nose tackle at the zero tech. And I guess at corner and linebacker, if you want to take a look and see who's there.
I was just looking. Jordan Davis is the only defense tackle that went in this scenario.
Right. Yeah, because you have Wyatt and Winfrey there as well. Corner, you have Kyler Gordon, McCreary, Woolen.
Yeah, I think a lot of the corners went that we were kind of looking at, in my opinion.
I think Gordon is the one I would target in this range.
Yeah, Gordon would be the only one for me in this scenario. I'm hoping for that Booth to fall or Elam. If you'd be lucky to get one that makes it here. I think Booth's more likely because of injury. McCreary, for us, I think he's more of a slot, and
we have a slot corner.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I love the prospect. I just wouldn't take him for us.
Exactly.
So with all that being said, I think if the board fell like this is tough. It's because we're picking between 3 or 4 good players, and we are picking luckily 2 picks after this. So I'm trying to.
You mind just looking at linebacker quick, bro? I want to see if there was anyone else there.
This is the one, me and you, and I think a lot of Jet fans are.
Linebacker
is a huge need. We're all hoping, a lot of Jet fans, I think, including us, are hoping that Nakobe Dean falls in the real draft 35 because then it's a no-brainer for all of us. But in this scenario, he didn't. So, but Muma's a great option. I think I'd wait for 38 for that. But for 35,
I'm torn here, honestly.
I'm torn here because for me, I don't know if you're the same 2 players. It's between Devontae Wyatt and Daxton Hill for me.
Okay, I was going to say Daxton Hill and Travis Jones.
Okay. Me and you
want to go with Hill?
Yeah, let me make a case for Wyatt, and I think I'm gonna go Hill too. But let me make a case for Wyatt over, and I love Travis Jones too. We probably need the Travis Jones more in terms of nose tackle, but I don't think I was looking at the Niners roster last year too. Like DJ Jones is 305 pounds. They didn't really have a true nose tackle. I don't think it's necessarily a need, or based on how they view it. I'd prefer one. We just let go of Foley Fadakowski. It would be tough taking, I guess, a similar player that high when we could have re-signed him. But I don't want to look at it like that. I'm just pointing that out.
I think the main difference is just that Travis Jones offers you more one-gapping ability in this scheme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think they could view Wyatt as like the long-term replacement for a Sheldon Rankins and a Solomon Thomas. And that might be the difference because, like, I think Wyatt's clearly a first-round pick. I think he could be the second defense tackle.
I even think Jones is borderline.
I think Travis Jones is a first-round pick too. I agree with that. I just think Wyatt, you can make a case, is the most explosive defensive tackle, even over his teammate Jordan Davis. So, but with that being said, I think I'm gonna end up going Daxton Hill.
I think I'm with you. I mean, just the Jets could use a long-term free safety to pair up with Jordan Whitehead. Hill is another one of those first-round caliber prospects, like we've talked about with Nakobe Dean, Devontae Wyatt, and he's a pretty safe prospect. Had a great year last year. Offers some versatility, great speed, athleticism. So it's a great pick. Sean Ryan, Brees Hall. No, I wouldn't pick that. No.
I think these are too far to go back, even though this one's if this is like a 3rd round pick and they offer all this, I think I might have accepted that. But since I think that's the 4th round, so I'm not really, interested in that. This one's a little bit better, but I still think I want to make this pick. We've been talking about how we want to take advantage of our premium picks. Brees Hall is actually someone I wanted to mention at 35. I thought he'd be here at 38, but I guess if you wait some time, that's why we always have to talk about certain players because they might not make those 2 or 3 picks after. But I'll bring him up anyway because I think he might be here in the real NFL draft. And he was one we didn't mention last time, but I think as the draft goes on, and maybe a lot of the players that we want end up getting taken, and like you said, we need inside linebacker, defense tackle could obviously be a slam dunk pick, corner if the right guys fall. So there's a lot of ways we can go. But you're just assuming this is how stuff works. 2 out of the 3 of those won't end up being the quality of player we want there. So there's a decent chance that Brees Hall is a top 2 or 3 option come on our board come this time in 3 weeks. So for me, like it would have to be a scenario where like the linebackers are gone. We ended up taking either a safety or a corner at
Yeah.
35. But Brees Hall would be, I think, I would not mind it because assuming we get a wide receiver at 10, I think the offense would then kind of like round out really nicely, and we'd feel really good about the long term as well as the short term.
100%.
So like both, and for the first time since I can remember, and then we'd have basically our answer about Zach Wilson as a quarterback, basically at the end of next season, where that'd be. I don't see how like you could just tell if he's good or if he's going to be the guy with all these weapons. I think it'd be a no brainer. But obviously, so go ahead. What are your thoughts about Bryce Hall or even Kenneth Walker? If you want to
I
throw him.
mean, Brees Hall has been someone all along. Like I've had as my RB1 just because of how complete he is. Like he showed you his speed at the combine. He can run 4.3. He's a big play threat. He brings a ton of size, power, can run inside and outside, and he can contribute in the passing game as well. We've talked about, wanting to keep Michael Carter fresh and healthy, adding a true complementary skill set to what he provides, with his elusiveness, what he does in the passing game as a receiver and a blocker, and just wanting to keep him healthy because he's a smaller guy and just the running back position in general. You don't want to ever overwork anyone. But obviously with Hall off the board, and I will say I do like the day 3 value at the running back position. And look at what the Jets got in Michael Carter last year. To me, I think it's okay to wait a little bit. But I do love Brees Hall, and he's my top running back.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I guess since we were bringing up Brees Hall, I might as well bring up Kenneth Walker. I think those two are like the clear cut number 1 and 2 running backs in this draft class. I don't know if I'd go this high with Walker, but I think he'd be the only other one in consideration if Brees Hall is off the board, like he is in our mock draft here.
Especially in like a trade down scenario, because you've heard that they might want to trade down from 38 to accumulate future draft capital as well. So if they trade down 10 to 15 spots, I could maybe see that as an option.
Yeah, I'm with you. Or even if we traded up from our 69 pick back into the later half of round 2, I'd be more comfortable with that. But I brought up my why case last time. If you want to, I think we're kind of in agreement. I think we'd prefer linebacker here. But I did want to bring up if you have any case for Winfrey here, I'll listen. But I just want to bring up the case before you do. Either the defense tackles here or Travis Jones, who I know is still on the board. I feel like we can get like a Mathis at 69 or even a Matthew Butler at 69 or in the 4th round, which they might not be the players that, a Travis Jones is or a Devontae Wyatt or even a Winfrey. But based on the value like of the draft, let's look at the linebacker position again, because in this scenario, a lot of the
Muma and Chanel will be my top 2.
There's still good options here. I think Quay Walker would be in consideration if he fell here because he's getting 1st round buzz. The linebacker depth, though, as I was making the case for defense tackle, this is a really strong class, I think.
Oh, 100%. Troy Anderson.
Yeah. But then again, do you want to pick, the best or how the Jets feels the 2nd or 3rd best linebacker in the class? It's
once again, I feel like it just comes back to value. I mean, you said it, the depth at linebacker is better than defensive tackle. So
that is true. Yeah.
And I love Kyler Gordon there as well.
Yeah, that's why I went back to corner, because like looking at how the board fell, there's some decent options later on, but you feel like once this 2nd round,
there's a drop off.
Yeah. So is Kyler Gordon better than, or the drop off between him and the rest of these guys? I think it is pretty significant.
I agree.
But for some reason, I don't think they're going to go that route. I think it would be I think Gordon's a good player. I just think that the Jets might like Jets might like Bryce Hall and
Brandon Eccles.
Eccles and even Gidry. Like I think the chance of them doing that stuff is if like Sauce Gardner or even
Right.
maybe a Stingley after his pro day, like at 10, if all three receivers on the board, it gets interesting for me at 10 because like do they turn their attention to a Stingley and then maybe even package the 2 seconds to move back into the first? Like I don't know if I mean it would be a kind of a fun day one, but you don't
Absolutely.
sometimes you would rather 4 picks over three. But in this scenario, when you're getting like the top players in the draft at certain positions, you can't really complain. But obviously, we're standing pat here. So for me, I think I'm gonna vote for Chad Muma.
Okay.
I just think a guy we coached at the Senior Bowl. I think as we've spoken many times, like CJ Mosley gets injured and our linebacker core is horrendous. Even with him, I still view it as a bottom 3 unit in the league. And I think getting the Kayvon Thibodeau, getting Carl Austin back, we're going to get edge rush. We're going to finally get to. We should be able to get pressure on the quarterback finally. So I think I want to round out the linebacker unit and then feel comfortable about bringing guys back like Sherwood and Nazardine, where I'm not really like right now. I'm worried because right now like we're asking them to go in and basically produce right away. I think if you take a linebacker this high, you give a little bit of pressure off Mosley, and even the younger guys were like they're not thrust into a starting role like they were supposed to last year. And even a guy like Quincy Williams, I think, is much better suited. I think you agree as well.
Situationally.
As like a third down linebacker, or yeah, like a third linebacker in certain situations. But do you agree with that, or are you looking at someone else?
I love Muma. To me, it's between like the two players I said, Travis Jones and Kyler Gordon are definitely right there. Obviously, we're going heavy with the defense, rightfully so, after getting a receiver. But I love Chad Muma. I mean, you talk about a pretty complete football player when you look at his production and coverage, man and zone, which the Jets do need from the linebacker position. I think you and I both agree on that. He's got speed, whether that's vertically, sideline to sideline. He's big and strong to play against the run. And he even had some pass rushing production in the last 3 years. So there's really nothing not to like. I think having him alongside CJ Mosley, especially because he's already proven some of those leadership intangibles that Mosley brings just with how smart he is pre-snap. And I think to be able to be alongside Mosley would be incredibly beneficial. Like I said, with Travis Jones, I just think he does offer more in a one gapping scheme as a nose tackle stopping the run because there's some upside as a pass rusher. And look, I love Devontae Wyatt there as well. Obviously, you talked about him a ton. And Kyler Gordon as well. I mean, someone who can play in man and zone coverage, thrive, in whatever type of scheme. Great athlete. So it's really tough between, those three position groups. But I'm all for Muma. I would be pumped with that.
All right. So with that being said, I'll end up taking Travis Jones.
Really?
Yeah, I was looking at the linebacker unit before as we were going through it. I was making the case for depth at defense tackle, but you were right. I think it's stronger at linebacker. I also think I'm also pushing a little bit because I want a linebacker so desperately. So if it happened in the real draft, like great. But in this
Right.
scenario, the funny thing is I don't think we're gonna end up passing on Devontae Wyatt. I don't, even at 35 if he's there.
I mean, we can take him here.
But Travis Jones is a big. Me and you've been big fans of him. So for
Absolutely.
some reason in free agency, it kind of worked out where me and you were getting like players that we loved, like Conklin.
Right.
Um,
Jordan Whitehead.
yeah, so maybe it ends up happening in the draft again where we just not. I mean, Daxton Hill and Jones. I don't think we could have. We've been mocking them here for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yep.
So I even
I'd be pumped.
we'll go Travis Jones.
Good
But,
start.
yeah, see, it's hard picking that high because there's such quality players that like you're kind of like we were saying before we started recording. Like at a certain spot, we're not going to get a position that we want because unfortunately, even though we have high picks, we have so many needs and holes in the team that you're going to end up missing out on probably one of the positions. But that's why it's important to play the board. Like I think
Right.
because as long as you play the board and the draft class goes like it did last year, that's going to be a lot better in 2022.
Oh, interesting trade. I would contemplate it. I just want to see who else is on the board.
Yeah, hold on. I don't think I can. Okay, there you go. All right. Any position you're looking at?
I would say offensively, maybe tackle to see maybe what's there.
What's up?
Falele, well, let's go.
Kennard, I'm a big fan of. I'm not sure if he's in the fall. In the Rasheed Walker.
I mean, those are good options.
Let's see.
Well, and then
Cole Strange. I mean, we did coach him up in the Senior Bowl.
Right.
I don't think he'll be here in the real draft, but that would be interesting for me. I would definitely like he being my top 3 options for sure.
Right.
Looking at defense, so we ended up taking defense tackle, safety, and edge, right?
Edge. So we're looking at corner or linebacker.
Corner, McCollum, I think would be the only one. I think you can get like in Kobe Bryant in the 4th round.
Right.
Mathis out of Pitt, I'm a pretty big fan of, but I don't know about
Yep.
at 69. I think I wait for corner.
I
Unfortunately,
think linebacker, I would look at Leo Chenal. Love that.
Janel's still here.
Brian Asamoah
Yeah, Clark I love, but he's probably gonna go undrafted, unfortunately, because of his injury.
and Troy Anderson too. Someone we both like. 4.4 speed.
Yeah,
I think you
like-
got to go linebacker here, right?
I want to go linebacker here. Let me just go.
I'm with you. I think Chenal might be the best player on the board. Just looking across here.
Yeah, one shot I wanted to mention. I don't think we're going to double down this early on edge because we've got so many guys, but we did hire the Cincinnati.
Yes.
So Najee Sanders, one guy I had circled in for 69 the entire draft process after coming in like a disappointing weight at the combine, which was explained. But I think stuff like that might get him pushed down. Like I think he should be a 2nd round pick, but he's tempting a little bit for me here. I know we addressed it so much, but like I wouldn't hate like doubling down an edge and doing that. We talked about doing it a receiver. I don't think it's been talked about a lot in terms of like because it seems a little bit overkill, but in a Robert Saleh defense and a guy coming off an Achilles injury, I certainly wouldn't hate it. And to get a player like Sanders, I'd be happy to. Pickens is still here, but I don't want to take him because in the real draft, there's no way that he's making it here.
He's never going to be there.
So with that being said, I think you're right. I think linebacker would be the best. But
I think
basically,
I would go Chenal. I don't think Quay Walker might be
yeah,
the first.
Quay Walker's not going to make it here.
I like Asamoah and I like Troy Anderson as well.
Those two would probably be my those two. I'll go Wisconsin, Chenal.
Yeah, I like Chenal a lot too.
I just think like his physicality.
Yep.
You know, that's
He
one.
plays the run really well.
That's what we're really
Great
missing.
athlete.
Yeah, I think he has it all. Maybe a little bit of coverage issues, but
Yep.
I think that he has the athleticism to
Improve.
improve and get
Oh,
better
yeah.
at the next level.
So now I think
We have 2
we're
fourths.
probably looking at offensive tackle. We need a 3rd tackle the way it stands now after George Fant and Mekhi Becton. Obviously a running back, which we talked about.
Maybe a 3rd
Potentially
tight end.
receiver or tight end depth.
Yeah, I'm still looking at a 3rd tight end if the opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely. I'm with you. So we
So-
got two at the top of the 4th and then 2 in the 5th.
A little bit of a long wait here with all these comp picks, unfortunately, at the end of round 3 now. But
We were spoiled the first 3 rounds.
yeah, yeah, getting picks in the top of the round all the time.
We were like 15 picks.
All right, so we're coming up. One of the guys I was looking at, Brian Robinson Jr., was taken, unfortunately. So
So I guess you want to start just looking at the running back depth, maybe.
yeah, the guy who I really, really want, I think, is Zamir White come the real draft time.
I like Zamir.
If we're not getting a Brees Hall in the 2nd round, I think speaking of the day 3 selection, I think Zamir White would be my favorite one.
I love Pierre Strong too. It's very close to me with them.
So let's see. You're talking about tackle. Let's see. Walker, I think would be a good pick here.
Absolutely. Braxton Jones. Even Max Mitchell.
Max
Kellen
Mitchell,
Beach
yeah, he
there.
can be ranked this low. It's a
Kellen
sequel.
Beach, great athlete.
Okay, Cole Strange is. I don't want to take him because I don't think he's going this late.
Right.
But if the draft played out like this and he's there for whatever reason,
100%.
run that card in. Don't even look at the rest of the. I just want to look at the center position really quick. If Jurgens is still here, he's been a bit of a riser. I don't think he'll end up being around 4 pick. I think you probably sneak him into round 3, but something to consider. You know, we only have McGovern on. One more.
And I guess Feeney could fill in, right? I guess you want to look at tight end and receiver too.
Yeah, let's just might as well. Shakir's. Oh man, that's Wanda Robinson. I like. I just think he's a bit small. Kyle Phillips is a big favorite. I mean, yours.
Yeah.
That would be an ideal pick. This is tough. Shakir, I really like Shakir. I mean that.
Yeah. Good
let's
ruck-
put
we can
tight
tight
end,
end.
Jelani
Jelani
Woods.
Woods.
Kolar, big red zone threat.
Yep.
Even Cole Turner.
Man, this is tough.
I think I'd wait on tight end because I think we're picking 6 picks later. If we wanted
Yep.
to tight end, I think we can wait on that.
This is tough.
Even, Tyndall should not be here either, but we already took a linebacker. So that's the position that's not been talked about. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're lucky if we get one with the premium picks, but if we did double down in the draft, you're not going to hear me complain whatsoever.
At linebacker?
Yeah. But we're not going to do it. I don't think it's going to happen because, if they love the linebacker room, you just think that, and they probably do. They probably want to give some of these guys a chance. So it's maybe it's a little bit unfair for me, but if the opportunity presents itself, I'm not going to complain.
Right.
Do we go corner? No, we didn't go corner, right?
No, we didn't. I don't know if I'm taking any of those guys there though.
McCollum would be the only interesting one because his athleticism is off the charts.
Right.
But I think you can wait because even.
And I like the guys offensively better. Like I like Jelani Woods a lot. I like the tackles.
I think I'm gonna vote for Shakir here. I just think James is coming off a torn ACL. I know we have Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Berrios, but I think I'd feel more comfortable with having another rookie receiver coming in ready to go, where we can take the pressure off him. It's not a second-round pick. It's not a third-round pick. I think Shakir is super talented. If you want to make the case for Kyle Phillips, I'm not going to stop you either because we do need a slot receiver. But
it's tough.
It is tough. I think we can wait for the running back for.
Okay.
But go ahead. Let's see your input here. Who would you go for?
Oof. Can you go back to the tackles again? Oh, wow. This is not easy.
No, this is not easy. It's been getting hard since 38. We've had difficulty. At this point, we both would have missed the pick. So
the top two tight ends, I do like Jelani Woods and Charlie Kolar. Woods with the athleticism is like 100 percentile. Charlie Kolar, like you said, in the red zone would be a difference maker, which we could use. Oh, I love the running back that's there as well. I mean, Zamir White, Pierre Strong, Damian Pierce.
I love James Cook. I don't think James Cook's even going to be here.
I agree. That's why I didn't mention him.
Yeah.
Oof.
But
what are you thinking, bro?
I'll stick with Shakir. I just think
I like it.
I think it's basically on the scenario because we've drafted Jameson Williams. I wouldn't be saying this, even though I'd want him if we took Garrett Wilson or Drake London, assuming that the ankle's okay and he'll be ready, ready to go even by OTAs. But the fact that we did get someone who just tore their ACL, I think that maybe, and we didn't sign any veterans in free agency, so you probably want like one more guy to feel good about. I think as a philosophy, we should be taking. I think Shakir is worth even a third round pick. So like if he falls to this range, I think it's kind of a no-brainer.
So what are you thinking here? Running back, tight end, offensive tackle?
Yeah, so some of the tackles that Walker went, unfortunately. So maybe we should have went tackle because now we just missed out on the two guys.
I do like Kellen Beach. I like Max Mitchell.
Yeah, let's just see. I think I'm going to vote for Max Mitchell here. I think the Jets have to prioritize even long-term replacement for Fant or Becton, or even just as a swing tackle. It's worth it in this scenario. I feel like I can get a Zamar White in the top of the fifth. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
And what about tight end?
They're all still there.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but we did sign 2 tight ends.
Yep.
And I definitely don't mind drafting one. I'm just saying, I think eventually, and even though we did, we just took Shakir, even though wide receiver is not a need at this moment, I don't think I'd do that for 2 of the picks in the 4th round.
Right.
But if Jets did it, I'm not going to complain. So like, there's not really that many options where I don't think many fans will complain if they're taking really good players at certain positions.
And to have depth for Zach Wilson offensively, I mean, we saw it at the end of the season when they were just decimated by injury. So
even Hayes here, I don't want to go Cole Strange here because that's just unrealistic at this point. Right. Hayes, from Oklahoma, it's intriguing. It's intriguing to me, but I think tackle's more pressing need. But if they went Hayes there, I wouldn't be mad either. But I'll vote for Max Mitchell.
I'm with you. They need a third tackle, so I love it.
even though I kind of hope that we just do that in free agency. I feel like
Right.
there's both agree on that, but and things can still happen after the draft, so it's not set in
Absolutely.
stone. A lot of this does play out like that, where like a team's not able to get a certain position, so they go back to free agency for that.
Like Morgan Moses getting released after the draft for us
Yeah.
last year.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes teams get a little bit too stacked positions, or they end up getting a high draft pick at a certain spot because they didn't expect this guy to fall. And the next
Yep.
thing you know, that the veteran on their team is unfortunately released, and the Jets have
Pierre Strong just went.
one pick before us. So this pick is, relatively small margins. I mean, I think let's just keep what we have. We haven't
I
accepted.
agree. I'm
We
with
haven't
you.
accepted one trade. This
And
entire
not with a team in the division. So
mock.
I guess we'll see what's there at running back, tight end.
Okay, so
Zamir White.
nice to hear. Knight
I
from
love Zamir White.
NC State. Even Smith from Baylor. I know he had a good senior bowl and everything like that. And tight end Cole
No,
Turner, I think is still
maybe
the.
Cole.
But I think let's just
I think
see.
Zamir White's the guy here.
I agree. I just want to see corner.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mathis or Castro Field, I think would be even Mark. Well, Marcus Jones is a little bit small. I think he's a good prospect. I don't think he'll be here,
Right.
but Mathis I think would be interesting for me from Pittsburgh.
Definitely.
But I feel like White could be one of the steals of the entire draft.
I'm with you. I mean, he is 4.3 speed and power. To me, it's tough to pass up on that.
Yeah, I'm comfortable taking him in round 4 like we did Michael Carter last year. So
Right.
then we'd start really feeling well about the offense. I don't think there'd be that many holes. We finally have like a top 20,
young
really
nucleus.
top 15-ish offense
So what are we thinking here?
to round out the draft.
Tight end, guard.
Let's just go to all. Let's see how the board fell here. We already took. I like this kid from Baylor, but we already took 2 receivers. Jurgens would be great, but him being the second best center or third, depending on if you count Ed Ingram, falling to the 5th round would be kind of surprising, even though it's not exactly a great center class. So I guess you never know. We took our defense tackle. I like the UCLA kid, even the linebacker from Nebraska. I keep talking about doubling down there, but I think I'll round it out. I think Cole Turner would be round it out would be pretty good, unless you want to go corner. That's the one position that we didn't end up drafting if this played out like this.
I think I would go with Turner.
So I'm sure the Jets must feel good about their cornerback room. We didn't take a corner during the entire NFL draft, but
I mean, did sign DJ Reed, still have Bryce Hall, Brandon Eccles, Michael Carter II, and Javelin Guidry. So there are 5 corners who are all relatively young. So
it's just pretty funny how and I think most Jet fans are like this too. There's definitely like a portion of the fan base that wants Sauce. I think no matter what.
absolutely.
But it's funny how if they didn't get Sauce, it feels like they almost don't want anybody, and like that's kind of now. Don't get me wrong. In this scenario, we drafted some really really good players.
I'm pumped with the way this turned out.
Yeah, this would be like an A draft for me. The only thing I would complain about a little bit is corner, but then again, you only have so many picks. You can't get every single position filled. I think the cornerback room it's solid for the Jets. I think there's a reason why some of us want to, if the board plays out a certain way, that we want to upgrade. I think it's how the Jets see it as well, because there's been rumblings about how the Jets view Bryce Hall, Eccles, and even Dunn on the same playing field, and that's before we signed DJ Reed. So we're starting to hear a little bit rumors like that, where I don't think that's great confidence in Bryce Hall. I think a lot of Jet fans are higher on him than maybe the Jets staff is. I think that's fair to say.
Right. And I love Bryce Hall. I'm confident in him. And I think, he's earned a starting position for the season based on the way he played last year. And he could be better with DJ Reed. But like I said, I mean, you never rule out adding a good football player at a premium position like corner.
It could be better with a good pass rush. That's another thing we can
absolutely with Carl Lawson and Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean,
yeah. So in this scenario, we ended up getting an edge rusher, 2 wide receivers. Yep.
Yep.
Safety, which is big time.
free
Travis
safety.
Jones, big time defense tackle. Chenault to finish out the
Can
linebacker.
help the run defense with Travis Jones.
Yeah, and then we got a running back.
And depth offensively. Young players to grow with Zach Wilson who can provide depth early on. You had them under contract for 4 years, and you hope that they just grow into like what Barrios has become.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of the way that this draft ended up playing out.
That's a good point. I want to know one thing. It is kind of ironic and like not intentional. We ended up taking, I think, more offensive players than defense, or right above even, because we had 9 picks. The last 4 picks are offense. So it ended up being a little bit split. So like 5 and 4, 5.
And we addressed basically every position group on both sides of the ball, which is nice too.
Yeah, outside of, I guess, corner, depending on
Yep.
what side of how you feel about the unit. But I just think that the draft. First of all, I don't think we're going to end up having 9 picks. I think there'll be a little bit of
Trading.
trading going around, which is fine because like we said, we do want to add premier and really impact players to this group. Sometimes that's more important than just adding in the later round in terms of depth. But in this scenario where we didn't end up trading any picks, I do think we kind of fill out the roster pretty well. But it is kind of funny because I don't think the draft's going to be more focused on offense. Obviously, it played out like this. But if I had to vote, I'd probably bet that the defense is like 70% in this draft class, whether it's 9 picks, whether it's 8. I think it's probably going to be. And you could say that we took the defense outside of Jameson Williams with the high capital picks, which is totally understandable. Like that's what we focused on, kind of like what we did last year. Besides, we went all offense last year up until what round? We took Carter up until round 5. That's basically what we did this year. Besides, we had Jameson Williams, and but we did that with the first 3 rounds, which is kind of funny. But I think it's kind of how this draft plays out too in terms of the draft strengths. It kind of aligns well.
I agree, 100%.
Well, so it's not really like we're just taking defense to take it, because I know Carolina did that.
D tackle isn't like we were saying at D tackle after the top 4 guys, the corner depth after Kyler Gordon, like it's not as great as what was there running back for us this late at receiver. So that's kind of what you have to factor in with this stuff as well.
Yeah. But
overall, I'm pumped with the way that ended up going for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of Jet fans be pumped up for that as well. I mean, me and you will both be really excited to add really high impact players to the team. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Obviously, me and Ryan had some difficulty, especially in that second round and second to the 4th round, where there's some really good players available. So hopefully that happens for us in the real draft, where we're picking between a couple really good players. But anyway, let us know maybe where you guys would have went different. I feel like that's definitely good.
For the next one we do.
Yeah, and even based on what you guys want, because the draft, like we said, is 21 days away. So we're slowly but surely getting there, and the end of the mocks will be upon us shortly.